Okay, this is Shep's Tech Cars, and now a lot of car manufacturers make a lot of different cars. However, some of these cars that they make are for the US market, and then others they make for the European market and overseas, obviously. However, there are some cars that I believe that we should get in the United States that Europe has. So, I compiled a list of 7 cars that we should get in the United States. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay, let's start off with number 1, the Volkswagen Scirocco. The Volkswagen Scirocco is a 4-seater coupe hatchback thing that Volkswagen gets for whatever reason in the European market. Now, I just have one thing to say about this car. It is so freaking cool. I don't care what you say about Volkswagen, but their designs are mediocre. The Arteon, they did a very good job on. The Volkswagen Golf, they did a good job on. However, other than that, their cars are just kind of vanilla, to be honest. However, with the Scirocco, they did a fantastic job. I think this car combined a kind of a sports car and a hatchback together, and not even being a top-of-the-line sporty model like a GTI or something like that, they still try to make it cool. I just love that sloping back design and just a cool, all the curves and all the straight lines everywhere. It's just a brilliant looking car. Now, can someone tell me from Europe why we didn't get this in the United States? Because I would take this over a Golf GTI any day. I mean, when I was looking at cars for GTIs, right, I looked everywhere all over the internet of how I can import one of these cars. Long story short, you can't import one, which is super disappointing because of just how good it looks. And the power isn't that bad either. For example, the Scirocco R had a 2-liter engine with 261 brake horsepower, which, to be honest with you, comparing that to a Golf GTI, I would have to say that's pretty comparable for Volkswagen. I mean, the power I'm not too big of a care about. I really don't care about the power that much. However, I really do care about is just that design and how that if this car was on the US roads, man, would it be a very unique car that Volkswagen had produced. But in the end, we don't get this car for probably one reason and one reason only, is that coupe hatchbacks don't do very well here, meaning that they actually do terrible on sales here, judging by the Range Rover Evoque Coupe, which have got terrible sales and stopped after the first month of it coming to the United States. So yeah, even if this car did ever come, I probably won't, but it will still be an awesome car to have on the US roads. Alright, next up for a number 2 slot, we have the Audi A1. Now, all the pure car guys are probably going to say the Audi A1 is not a real Audi, it's just an entry-level Audi that people can say you have an Audi, but it really just sucks in the end. Well, no. Now, the A1, in my opinion, is a very cool car for a couple reasons. Number 1 is the design. I think this car looks great. It's so youth-looking, it's so, like, teenager-looking, and yes, I know, it does start at $25,000. To be honest with you, I think they kind of overpriced it a bit. I mean, 25 grand for that small little hatchback? No. Still, nonetheless, that car is a really cool car. Second cool thing is that it's a front-wheel drive Audi hatchback. We do not get any Audi hatchbacks anymore. We only get all-roads or the station wagons. We get the A4 and the A6, and that's it. For whatever reason, we don't get any hatchback Audis anymore, and that is really disappointing. And this one, since it is the entry-level model, I think this car would definitely appeal more people to Audi if Audi brought over a car that looked like that. Number 3, the Mercedes-Benz AClass. Now, you might be thinking, well, we already got the A-Class. We just got it last year. I'm not talking about the A-Class sedan. I'm talking about the A-Class hatchback. Probably the best A-Class or best model in their lineup in the first place. To be honest with you, I think the sedan is a little bit of a waste of money. For 2 things, it's literally a smaller version of a C-Class. And with the money you can buy a brand new base A-Class sedan, you could go out and buy a 2-year-old C-Class from like 2018. So I think that the A-Class sedan is really just not a great seller. However, if Mercedes brought over this A-Class hatchback, I think that this thing would get a lot of sales. Why? Well, it would be the first hatchback that Mercedes have actually brought over to the United States. And number two, it's just a completely different car out of their lineup. Sure, we get C-Classes and E-Classes and S-Classes and all the AMG variants of those, but imagine seeing an A35S on the road in the United States in the hatchback form. That would just stand out, and I would always point to it and say, look at that thing. I mean, no other car would have a car like that. No other brand whatsoever would have a car like the A-Class hatchback. So I would, knowing that this car will probably never come because hatchback sales, just like the A1, will have been going downhill lately, I don't think this car will ever come to the US anytime soon. Which is probably why when Mercedes was wanting to bring the A-Class to the United States, they made it in a sedan form so people would buy it more than a hatchback. Hatchbacks have been doing terrible here, which is why more and more of them are being discontinued. Sticking on this theme of hatchbacks that will probably never come to the United States, on number 4 on my list is the Honda E. Now, Honda does not have any electric cars here at the moment at all. They just have gas-powered cars with their stupid Econ button that really just gets them a couple miles more of MPG. We don't have any electric cars for whatever reason, but when this Honda E came out, I was just blown away of Honda's work here. This thing looks like something out of the future. I mean, you have that one giant screen that goes completely across the dashboard. You have the little tiny mirror side cameras that are mirrors that shine cameras into the car. That's an awesome feature. And just the seats in general and the design, it just looks something that will come out in like 2030. This car does get about 200 miles of range, but again, staying on the theme of hatchbacks that won't come to the United States, this car will probably never come to the United States because of hatchbacks going down in sales lately. Car makers here are starting to discontinue them and making all them only appear for European models. Just like the Ford Fiesta and the Ford Focus RS, yep, those are gone, disappointingly. And that's why we probably will not get any of these cool hatchbacks, probably ever. Sticking on the hatchback theme for one more to slot on this list, on number 5, we have the BMW 1 Series. BMW 1 Series, in my opinion, is probably the cooler version of the 2 Series. Now, we have the 2 Series Grand Coupe and just the normal 2 Series Coupe. However, I think that this should go in replace of the 2 Series. I think we can get rid of the 2 Series because I just feel like that series in BMW's lineup is just not been doing so well lately. But with this car, the M1 350i, I think this car would fit perfectly in BMW's lineup. One, if BMW brought over the M version, people here like buying hatchbacks that are hot. People don't like buying diesel hatchbacks because they're just a plain old boring hatchback. But if people buy an M135i, I bet that would attract a lot of people to get into an entry-level car for BMW that has the M brand on it. Kind of goes to the same thing for Audi and Mercedes. If they bring their S and AMG over here, I bet that these things would sell 100%. However, knowing BMW and knowing the Europeans, they probably won't bring this car over here, unfortunately. Alright, shifting into some cars that are actually not hatchbacks. Number 6, the Peugeot 508. Yep, you heard me right, a Peugeot. Now, in the past, I have never been fond of Peugeots, and neither has probably any single car guy on this planet. However, just recently, Peugeot's designs have been stepping up drastically. But it also as the same thing as their quality. They have been stepping up drastically. Well, how do I know that? Well, a couple years ago, I sat in I think it was a 3007 or something along those lines. But when I sat in the driver's seat in Mexico in a dealership, I was just blown away of the design on the outside and the inside. First up, the hexagon steering wheel I thought was an awesome idea, as well as the slim dashboard that they had, and all the cool switches that looked like they were designed to be in some sort of supercar. Everything that you mainly touch every single day, like the dashboard and the center console and the steering wheel and the door cards and everything. Those were all really good quality and like leatherette and stitched in leather. It was a very nice car, to be honest with you. Sure, it probably doesn't have the power of a sports car, but leading to some theories, Car and Driver believes that they're coming to the United States sometime soon. So if Peugeot in general comes to the United States, which I really hope they do, I wouldn't give them a lot of hate at all, and I would really totally support the idea, because Peugeots would definitely be one of the unique cars on the road that you can get for a pretty cheap price, to be honest. And finally, the last one on the list, number 7, the Audi Q2. Now, I believe that I think we should get the Q2 instead of the Q3, and I think that's why we don't get it here, is that's because that we have the Q3, and we don't need in Audi's lineup for 2 small SUVs. Q2 is basically their version of the Q3, as well as I believe they also get the Q3, but I think the Q2 looks a lot better than the Q3. I'm just gonna say. I went to London a couple of years ago, I went to inside of an Audi dealership, I sat in it, and I immediately fell in love with the design. I just really like the way the interior looks, the exterior looks, and it's just such a cool, funky looking car, and that will definitely stand out on the road here. But again, this car will probably never come to the US because the Q3 has been getting really good sales lately, so I doubt this car will ever come to the United States. And those are 7 cars that Europe gets that we don't, that we should get. I know that these cars will probably never come to the United States, but I thought I'd well make this video to show people what I think we really should get and what we mainly shouldn't get. Is there anything else that I missed? Comment them down below. I would actually really like to know. That is basically it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.